order on Monday, April 26, 2021, 7 p.m. via teleconference. The prayer will be offered by City Clerk Susan Lovering, and Alderman Dowd will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and the serious duty to manage the affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding, which enables us to face our multiple problems with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all our fellow citizens. So help us God. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As president of the Board of Aldermen, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-4, this body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone, with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. To access Zoom, please refer to the agenda or the city's website for the meeting link. To join by phone, dial 1-929-205-6099. The meeting ID is 842-8545-0609, and the passcode is 999999. The public may also view the meeting via channel 16. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting through public postings. Instructions have also been provided on the City of Nashua's website at nashuanh.gov and publicly noticed in the Nashua Telegraph, City Hall, and the Nashua Public Library. If anyone has a problem accessing the meeting via phone or channel 16, please call 603-821-2049 and they will help you connect. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting via the methods mentioned above, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. I could ask Madam Clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman O'Brien.
I am present. I can hear the proceedings and I am alone.
Alderman Clee.
I am here. I can hear the proceedings and I am alone in this room at the moment.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Alderman Kelly will not be joining us this evening.
Thank you. Alderman Dowd.
Yes, I'm present. I can hear the proceedings and I am alone.
Alderman Karen.
I am here. I am alone and I can hear everything.
Alderman Clemens.
I am here. I'm by myself in the room and I can hear everyone.
Alderman Lopez. Alderman Tenza.
Alderman Tenza will not be joining us this evening. He's away on school vacation.
Alderwoman Liu.
I'm here alone and I can hear you.
Alderman Jettie.
I am here alone and I can hear the proceedings.
Alderman Schmidt.
I am present, alone, and can hear everyone.
Alderman Laws. Alderman Cleaver.
Alderman Cleaver will also not be joining us this evening.
Thank you. Alderman Harriet Gathright.
I am present, I'm alone, and I can hear everyone.
Alderman Wilshire.
I am here, I am alone, and I can hear everyone.
You have 10 in attendance.
Thank you. Okay, so tonight's special Board of Aldermen meeting is for a public hearing on Resolution 21-127. And I will turn the meeting over to the chairman of the Budget Committee, Alderman Dowd.
Yes, as Alderman Wilshire just stated, we're going to be having public hearings tonight on resolutions R21-127 and R21-128. The first resolution is authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed the amount of $5,400,000 for fiscal year 2021 city's sewer infrastructure program. And I believe that city engineer Dan Hudson is going to give us an overview. Mr. Hudson?
Thank you, Alderman Dowd. I'm going to prepare or try to share my screen. It says it's disabled.
Donna's going to give you permission.
I have a brief 11 slide presentation, which I'll share with you when I can.
Donna, you all set to give him?
I'm trying, and it's not allowing me to share the screen. Hold on, I'm going to make you co-host.
Okay.
There you go. That'll work.
All right.
Okay.
Right now. All set? Oh, there
I believe so.
Yeah, there it goes.
Okay, great. So as noted, this is about the sewer bond. So here's just a picture of an old sewer plan in profile. So this program addresses our collection system. So just kind of looking through the numbers here, we have 446 miles of a collection system. It's broken down into sewer, about 82 miles. That's combined sewer, where the stormwater and the sewer combine. And then we have sanitary sewer, 234 miles, and 130 miles of separate storm drain. 13 pump stations, 9 combined sewer overflow structures. And that's along the rivers, that if the system gets overwhelmed, then there's discharge points on those rivers, 4 on the Nashua and 5 on the Merrimack. And we have 8 siphon chambers, which carry stormwater and sanitary flow under the rivers. And those are comprised of 22 separate barrels ranging in sizes from 6-inch to 60-inch. I'm not going to read all this on the slide, but as you can see, our system dates back to the 1860s when the first sewers were installed. We have a number of large brick sewers, and then sewers ranging in 6 to 108 inches. Sewer depths range from 3 to over 31 feet. So you can imagine it's problematic to replace something that's that deep. And some of the other stats and figures are shown there. On the right-hand side, you see a picture of sewer on Canal Street, one of the brick sewers. So under this program, we assess and then repair sewers. So as part of the assessment, we need to clean the pipes, and that is important. As you can see in the upper right-hand picture, there's a root ball there. So we clean the pipe, and then we video inspect it through closed circuit television. And that enables us to see which sections of pipe need a treatment. The cleaning effort in itself is valuable in that it restores the pipe to its full capacity. And on the bottom right, you can see that happening, a jetting water in a brick sewer main. Under the program, we do rehabilitation of pipes and structures. So one of the methods is a point repair. When we have a collapse at one location, as shown on the right-hand side, we will go in and dig that up and just make a repair to that small segment of pipe. There's other more extensive repairs. So on the bottom left, you can see that's a pipe that we video inspected, and it had some issues, but it was still of a shape that we could line it. So on the right-hand side, you can see that that's post lining. So that restores, a structurally sound pipe that is smooth again. And the upper right-hand side is showing an epoxy lining of a manhole looking down from the top. And that just, protects against groundwater leaks and stuff into the structure through cracks. It basically seals up the inside. So that's another measure we do here. Some more pictures, upper left, you can see that's a quite extensive root obtrusion in the pipe. And on the right-hand side, after we've cleaned the pipe and lined it, that's what it looks like. Bottom pictures are just some more of the types of deterioration we find. Not all pipes can be lined. We do like lining. We're doing more and more of it because it's very cost effective. Much more disruptive to actually have to dig up and replace the pipe. Disruptive to traffic, much more expensive, almost 20 times as expensive as lining it. So we are trying to line everything that we can, but occasionally that's not possible and we have to dig up and replace the pipe. So these pictures show some of those efforts and some of the problems we found before we actually addressed them, right? Just looking at a little history, budget history for the program, going back 10 years or so. The program has escalated over the last 5 or so years. And over the last few years, we've been in this similar $5 million plus range. And that's enabled us to do more and more work. Here's some of the results of that work. Some of the older data, maybe we don't have all the information on, but more recent data is fairly accurate. You can see replacement. We've reduced actually the amount of replacement that we've been doing and have been doing more and more lining. And we're working our way, we're prioritizing our looking in the system at the pipes that are oldest and the types of materials that are most prone to having issues. So as we work through the system and find and address those and the pipes get newer and of materials that are better, we would expect over time that we would see less and less replacement need. On the right-hand side is just a picture of, some dig work, some new pipe and a manhole structure. So that's what I had. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Before I say that, have you given Donna Graham a copy of this presentation to put with the minutes?
I have not, but I will send it to her after this meeting.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the alderman before we open it up to public questions or comments? Seeing none, I will open the public hearing and I'll take testimony in favor of R21-127. Is there anyone that would like to be heard speaking in favor? Seeing and hearing no one, I'll now ask for testimony in opposition to R21-127. Is there anyone that would like to speak and provide testimony in opposition? Seeing and hearing no one, once again, I will ask for testimony in favor of R21-127. Seeing and hearing no one, once again, I will ask for testimony in opposition to R21-127. Seeing and hearing no one, I will close the public hearing on R21-127 at 7:13 p.m. Thank you, Director Hudson. The next resolution for the public hearing is R21-128, authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed the amount of $1,550,000 to pay additional costs of the police department's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, window improvements, and locker room improvement project. Mr. Medeiros?
Yeah, yes, it's Captain Dan Medeiros with the Nashville Police Department here. Thank you, Chairman Dowd. I appreciate you and all the aldermen giving me a chance to speak on behalf of this resolution. At this time, I'd like it to share a short PowerPoint slide presentation, if that'd be all right, be able to share my screen.
That's fine, yep. There you go, it's coming. All right. Yeah.
All right, so what we're looking at here, it's something that has come before budget review and the alderman regarding our HVAC system. At this time, we're moving forward, looking to request that additional funds to support the previous funding that we appropriated, which was $2.8 million back in April of 19 for the upgrade of our HVAC system, the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, as well as replacement of windows at that time. So total now for this whole project, we're looking at approximately $4,350,000. And just to go back and give you the historical data, kind of what led us up to this point is many of you aware that the original police department here was built in 1977, and we had an addition built, almost doubling the size back in 1999 and completed it around 2001. Both those individual HVAC systems were independent systems of themselves. And currently we've been able to modify them that we have one controlling system for both those HVAC systems. Fortunately, in 2005, we were able to secure some funds and have to cut back the project, but we're able to make several modifications to all the vintage 1977 mechanical systems to include pumps, heating pumps, a boiler, and modifying the exhaust system that we have here. Unfortunately, at that time, we weren't able to upgrade the 1977 mechanical room, as well as the ventilation system for our indoor pistol range, as well as the heating systems in our fleet maintenance garage area. Since 2005, in those modifications, we have had significant failures and issues with the HVAC system in both areas as a whole. These failures has caused multiple troubleshooting sessions with our service contractors, just shown to be totally inefficient to the point where our city energy manager, Doria Brown, has made comments about our energy bills being one of the highest in the city. It was due to most of these calls and inefficiencies where we were finally able to contract out to SMRT Inc. in early 2019 to do an assessment and inventory of our whole HVAC system. And with that going forward, they made several recommendations to upgrade and change our overall systems, with basically salvaging very few of the mechanical that we have at this current time. We were able to receive an approximation being 2.5 million for that moving forward. With that, we were able to go ahead and hire Yeaton and Associates to contract as a design and engineer a new system for us. We were finally able to go forward and receive that funding for the 2.8 million to also include upgrading of the windows in our 1977 portion of the building to assist with energy costs. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic and the design costs, we weren't able to get that design in until the end of 2020 and go out to bid with the city until February of 2021 of this year. At that time, we do have a proposed bid that we'd like to move forward with. It was the lowest bidder, which was Turnstone Construction, and that came in just over 3.6 million. So at this point, it's left us short in those fundings to move forward. In the meantime, we've identified other areas that need improvement here at the police department, which includes our locker room areas, especially the locker rooms that have been here since 1977. There had been some upgrades in the new addition was built in 2001, but many of those lockers that we've been dealing with over time that are approximately 42 years old right now have had some sort of disrepair, rusting, mechanical issues, hinges not working just due to the overall use here. We have approximately 37 of those lockers that are totally out of service. In the past few years, we've had to have our building maintenance folks attach actual like shed halves to actually be able to secure many of these lockers. And as you all know, here at the police department, there's many officers that don't have an office space or other places to keep their equipment. The locker room and the lockers that the folks use here at the police department, for the majority of us, they are your primary office. That's where you secure all your gear, including your weapon. So just moving forward here, I'm just looking to show you a few examples. Because looking at lockers, I know they all look the same, but we're looking at here several of those hasps that aren't able to close. You can see a lot of the hinges and the doors along the line don't close correctly and have problems. There's multiple rust that's occurring. And as you can see in the insides, we've done our best to keep up with these lockers. We had multiple lockers repainted on the outside to keep up appearances. But as we went through, and you can see here in the back locker room where multiple of the style lockers we had have just failed for the locking mechanism as the high usage that we have here. This is a closer photo. You can see where the rusting and deterioration is starting in a lot of the seams in the metal of many of these lockers. And here's another close-up of the rusting that is indicative of the majority of these lockers we have here. Like again, this is another example of just the bending and the hinges that have been off that makes it tough to secure and have any issues there. So moving forward, out of the $1,550,000 that we are looking to secure, it's not only for what we believe is the necessary updating of our HVAC system to get to that point of what that bid had come in as. It's also adding some funding in there to upgrade our lockers, which probably would be a smaller portion of the funding here that we're looking at. But it's all necessary, especially due to the inefficiency of our HVAC system and the priority that our folks here put on securing their gear and taking pride in where we're keeping our personal items while they're at work. At this time, I welcome any questions about what our request is here.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I will tell you that when we did the window work, the first time I went over to see it in the winter, they had duct tape on the sides of the windows to keep the snow from piling up on their desks. That was something that was easy to get money to fix because it was, all our energy was going right out the window. The HVAC systems I've seen, and they definitely need replacement and update, and there'll be a cost savings downstream of the new HVAC system through heating and ventilation of the police station. And the lockers are even in worse shape than those pictures show. And when they bring officers in we hire officers from other departments now. We don't recruit new people all the time. We do bring in experienced officers. And when they get a look at the locker room, that's one of the things that's sort of a downer for them. So they're in need of this funding, and the costs have been increasing, and they've got a locked in cost, and we need to act on this fairly quickly. And hopefully tomorrow night we will do the second reading of the legislation. Are there any Alderman questions for Captain Medeiros?
I have a question.
Alderman. Yeah, Linda had her hand up first on the screen, and then I'll have Alderman Liu.
Captain, you mentioned that it went out the bid and you took the lowest bid. How many folks responded to the bid request?
We were actually able to get 4 bids that came in. One of those vendors actually backed out and pulled their bid back, but we had 3 bids that came in. This was Turnstone Construction that we'd like to go with, and they came in. The other 2 bids were approximately a little over $4 million each.
Okay, thank you.
All set, Linda?
Oh, well, follow up.
Follow up?
Have you ever used them before, this particular bidder? Just curious.
We have not used Turnstone yet. Myself and purchasing manager Kelly Parkinson had spoken with several of their references and they've used, but here in the city, they have done work recently at the Boys and Girls Club where they did do some minor renovations over there and came highly recommended.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All set, Alderman Gottfried?
Yes.
Alderman Lou?
Thank you. Is it about $750,000 for the lockers? If I got my numbers right?
The number, we estimate that the lockers to be anywhere between $125,000 and $150,000. The remainder of the funding that is being requested is obviously we've already spent some of the money towards the windows, spending towards the design, as well as another, it was a space needs study that we had to go through to determine whether or not it'd be possible to place the new HVAC system on the roof or not, in case we were looking to expand someday.
So some of the cost increase was twofold. One was from getting the final design and getting a bid on it. And the second was that everything is going up in price because of COVID and drove the price up as well. So they have a price locked in right now, and that's what we're debating in this resolution. Is that all set, Alderman Lou?
Well, I had another question.
Sure.
If I could just, if you could just reiterate the two prices that were in your presentation. I don't remember them, but there was an original expected quote and there was this year's quote. And what were those two numbers?
Yes, so initially when they did an assessment of the system back in early 2019 by a separate company, they estimated it would cost us approximately $2.5 million. When we were able to go out for design, even the estimations from the company to engineer and design our updated system, their estimations were close to 2.6, and that's notwithstanding the money that we've already used that was included in to update the windows, as well as used to hire this design company for the engineering of and the specs of our HVAC system upgrade.
Okay, will you be providing the slides to the aldermen as well? That will, if I can look through the slides, I'm sure my questions will be more answered.
Yes, I plan on forwarding them to Mrs. Graham after this.
Thanks a lot.
No problem.
I'm all set.
Any other questions? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now open the public hearing. And on R21-128, is there anyone that would like to testify in favor of this resolution? Seeing and hearing no one, is there anyone that wants to provide testimony in opposition to R21-128?
Laura Cahoon.
Excuse me?
Laura Cahoon.
Yes, go ahead.
I live at 30 Greenwood Drive. I just don't think this is the right time to put this kind of money forward, seeing how everybody's still hurting and it's only going to increase the tax rate. I think that if you look around, there's a lot of homes that were built in 1954 that still have the original windows and don't have any air conditioning. So I'm against this. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else testimony in opposition? Seeing and hearing no one else, testimony in favor, Ian. Anyone that wants to provide testimony in favor? Seeing and hearing no one, once again, testimony in opposition. Seeing and hearing no one, I will close the public hearing on R21-128 at 7:30 p.m. And Alden O'Brien, do you have a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do. I would like to motion that the April 26, 2021 special meeting of the Board of Aldermen be adjourned by roll call.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly. Excuse me. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderwoman Lou.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
You have 10 yeas and 0 nays.
And that motion carried, and we are adjourned from the special hearing at 7:31 p.m. We will be opening the budget meeting in approximately 3 minutes. Call the Budget Review Committee to order. It's April 26, 2021, and this meeting is via teleconference. As chairman of the Budget Review Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. To access Zoom, please refer to the agenda or the city's website for the meeting link. To join by phone, dial 1-929-205-6099. Meeting ID is 842-8545-0609, and the passcode is 999999. The public may also view the meeting via channel 16. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting through public postings. Instructions have also been provided on the City of Nashua's website at www.nashuanh.gov and publicly noticed at the City Hall and Nashua Public Library. If anyone has a problem accessing the meeting via phone or channel 16, please call 603-821-2049 and they will help you connect. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting via the methods mentioned above, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Alden O'Brien, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman at Large Michael B. O'Brien Sr., your clerk, is present. I can hear the proceedings and I am alone. Alderman at Large Laurie Wilshire.
I am here, I am alone, and I can hear everyone.
Alderman Ernie Chetty.
I'm here alone and I can hear the proceedings.
Alderman Jan Schmidt.
I am present and I'm alone and can hear everyone.
Alderman at Large Ben Clemens.
I am here, I'm by myself, and I can hear everyone.
And our chairman, Alderman Richard A. Dowd.
I am present, can hear the proceedings, and I am alone.
And Mr. Chairman, also in attendance, it appears we have Alderman Karen and Alderman Lou. Also in attendance is David Fredette, Treasurer, Tax Collector for the City of Nashua. I think excuse me, and Alderman Clee. Thank you, Alderman Clee, is also present.
And Harriet Gathright, I don't think I heard my name.
I did not, thank you. I didn't see you. Alderman Gathright is, Harriet Gathright is also present. Okay, again, follow back. We have David Fredette, Treasurer Tax Collector. I think we have Mr. Dan Hudson from the City Engineering Department. Let me see.
Captain Medeiros?
Yes, we do. There's others too. NPD Captain Daniel Medeiros.
And Camille Patterson, who I believe is sitting in for Director Marchand, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Camille Patterson from Transportation. And we had CFO John Griffin. And I think that is it. If anybody else, elected officials that I did not call, please announce so you could be included in the record. Seeing none, Mr. Chairman, you have 5 committee members present.
Yeah, I believe we also have Deputy Chief or Assistant Chief Steve Buxton.
Thank you.
All right. Roll call's been taken. The first item of business is public comment. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address the committee on anything on the agenda? Seeing and hearing none. Communications. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have communications from David Fredette, Treasurer Tax Collector. Reason, bond sale plan and debt service analysis for the general fund.
Okay, there being no objection, I will accept the communication and place it on file. Unfinished business?
There is none.
New business resolutions?
Before us this evening is R-21-123, relative to the transfer of $25,000 from the Department 194 contingency account 70100 general contingency to Department 109 civic and community activities, accounting classification 56 outside agencies for the purpose of providing funds to the National Association for the Elderly. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to recommend final passage by roll call.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to recommend final passage of R-2123. And I believe Alderman Karen wanted to speak to it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, for the last 10 years, the city has been kind enough to put a resolution in to give the senior center $25,000 to use to maintenance for the facility. As you know, they are a nonprofit and are funded by the activities and trips and things like that that they provide. As in the past, we would request out of the $25,000 that $5,000 be put into their reserve account. And at this point, I think we have about $50,000 there, so which is great considering the pandemic that's been going on. We haven't had to take anything from there, but it's there as a safety net. And the other $20,000 this year, we are looking, since the store has been closed for over a year, that in order to open it up and to make people feel safer going into the thrift shop, that we felt that the money should be used to redo the floors, because right now we have this old carpeting that's been in there for over 10 years, and to do the walls and windows or anything else that needs to be refurbished within that facility. They are taking bids, especially for the floor, and because of the changing prices, they feel that they will come close to almost the $20,000 that we are going to provide for them. But I do want to thank the Board of Aldermen for providing this money for the senior center for all these years, because without it, they would have a hard time to kind of do the spring cleaning, if you want to call it that, to the facility. So that's all I have. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Alderman Karen. Are there any questions from any of the aldermen on this resolution? Alderman Wilshire.
I don't have any questions. I'd just like to thank Alderman Karen for being the liaison and bringing this forward to us. I mean, they do great work there, and it's just one of those things that isn't in their budget and probably never would be, that kind of money. So thank you, Alderman Karen.
Well, thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah, I think this is some small thing that we can do that gives a lot of satisfaction and good feelings to some of our senior citizens here in Nashua, and I think it's the least we can do for them. So if there are no other questions, would the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman Clemens.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien's votes yea. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
The motion carries. Resolution R-2123 is fully adopted and will be on tomorrow night's Board of Aldermen meeting for an oral reading and second reading and final passage.
Mr. Chairman, also before us this evening is R-21-127, authorizing the mayor and city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed the amount of $5,408,000 for the fiscal year 2021 city sewer infrastructure program. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to recommend final passage by roll call.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to recommend final passage of R21-127 involving the city's sewer infrastructure program. Are there any questions by any of the aldermen?
Yes, I have a question that I meant to ask earlier.
Alderman Lou?
Thank you. Since we had Mr. Hudson on the line, I think we still do.
Yes, we do.
Okay. I had just wondered, did the work on the sewer begin 10 years ago? We looked at a graph or a list of expenditures over the last 10 years. I couldn't understand whether that was the first rehab or renewal that we've done.
Mr. Hudson?
Chair, I'd be happy to attempt to address that. Dan Hudson, city engineer. No, we just picked a 10-year window just for reference. I assume that the city has been doing sewer repair work since the original pipe went in. So no, that was just the most recent period for reference purposes.
Okay, thank you. Just a follow-up, I think, if I could.
Sure.
I probably should have asked more directly. When you say that our streets were put in, this pipe work was put in the 1800s, how old are most of the streets now? I mean,
Director Hudson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, they vary, right? I mean, the history of Nashville goes way, way back. So when I say the first sewers were installed in the 1860s, I mean, prior to that, there was other sewer provisions, but that was the first time that the city tried to start building pipe networks and treating it in a more community-wide type basis. And the original pipes they put in, they discharge directly into the river. So we've come a long way since then. Now we have excellent wastewater treatment facility, and wastewater goes there instead. But that's kind of the history of the system.
Will we ever get to the point where we won't have to be doing this for a period of time?
Director Hudson?
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Chair. No, I mean, we have over 400 miles of pipe network, as I noted, so there will always be a need for some improvement. And I will say, we're playing a little bit of catch up. We're looking in pipes that we probably haven't looked in almost 100 years. So we need to do that because we need to repair, clean and repair things so the system can function as it should. Eventually, we will have looked through all of the system, and then we're more in a maintenance activity. But this program funding addresses emergency repairs and that sort of thing, in addition to the planned work we're doing, and there'll always be a need for that type of work.
Thank you.
All set, Alderman Lou?
Yes.
Just one other thing, Mr. Hudson. There's two things. One, we tend to try and do this work just before we repave the streets so that we're not digging them up after we've spent money paving them. And also, isn't some of this requirement forced by the EPA because of the requirements for stormwater and sewage drainage and treatment?
Yes, I can confirm both points, Alderman Dowd.
Thank you. Any other questions on this resolution? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien votes yea. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Our 121-127 motion carries. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also before us this evening is R-21-128, authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed the amount of $1,550,000 to pay additional costs of the police department's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, window improvements, and locker area improvement project. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make the motion to recommend final passage by roll call, and I would like to speak to my motion if I may.
Yeah, the motion on the floor is to recommend final passage to the full board of R-2128. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As many of the people in Nashua know, and particularly members of the board, I did come from the fire department, and I do remember working as captain at the what we call the Crown Hill Station or the Arlington Street Station. Under many past administrations, that building should have been replaced, but there was always not the right time. And I remember on rainy days, and particularly when snow melted, to watch water running down the walls. It wasn't properly vented. Every time the fire truck started up, the diesel engines left a soot on the walls. I personally attempted to clean my own bedroom just to make sure that the others would be doing it correctly. And all I was doing was moving soot around. Basically, what I'm trying to say is our employees are key to our infrastructure as much as any building is. And we should be able, as the city, to provide adequate work environment for our employees. And fortunately, in the case of the fire department, that station was replaced. But we have a good standing police station right now. It would be a shame to let it get into future disrepair. So I offer my complete support in putting in the air conditioning. I know somebody did say that, you know, well, there's places that don't have air conditioning, and I understand that. But also people are staying at the police station under custody. They do have the right, for all the perfect, to be treated humanely and everything while they're in custody. And that includes air conditioning. And so therefore, it'd be a shame to let one of our true edifice of infrastructure go down without being properly repaired. And I think now is it's timely to do so. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Schmidt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As to the question about air conditioning, we certainly have to say that this department isn't a home. You can't open the windows. This is absolutely essential to condition the air, to keep it clean and to keep it healthy. As Alderman O'Brien said, this is essential. These are our people. They're working for us, and they deserve a good, safe place to work. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Gottfried.
Okay, take it as you will, but I agree with both my colleagues on their comments about the air conditioning. And, you know, I look at it as a person of color that since we tend in New Hampshire and across the United States to hold many people of color hostage in jail for whatever the reasons may be, good, bad, or indifference, I would say also that yes, they need air because so many of us have asthma and all the other illnesses that others don't have. End of story. Just thought I would comment.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
You're welcome.
Alderman Wilshire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a long overdue project. I will support this 100%. And I agree with all the previous comments. These are our employees. They deserve a decent work environment, and that's what this will help provide. So I ask for everyone's support. Thank you.
Anyone else? I can say that I have physically witnessed the HIVAC system, and it's basically, at this point in time, an antique. There are parts of it, if they fail, they can't get repair parts for, and the system will be down and the station being sealed up as it is, because you can't leave doors open in a police station. Could be a real issue. So we started this project in 2019. We approved it back then. Unfortunately, due to the delays caused by COVID and other things and price increases, they've had to ask for some additional money. So I fully support this and hope that everyone will pass it. Is there anyone else that has any comments? Alderman Jettie?
Yes, I think you've answered this, but I just want to ask the question to make sure I get the answer. So the original project for $2.8 million, what is the status of that? Have we, are we partially completed that already at this point? If I could ask.
I can get it verified by Captain Medeiros, but I can tell you that the window work was completed. That was, the windows had completely failed. In some places, there was as much as a quarter to a half-inch gap between the window and the wall where snow was coming in when it was snowing. And obviously hot air was going out. Those have all been fixed. The original legislation that was passed included the estimated price by an engineering firm for what they thought it would come out in a final bid. When it finally got to the point, for the reasons already stated, to do the final bid, the cost had gone up. That's happening in everything we're touching these days, and not just us, everybody that's in construction. So this is, they've got a bid locked in, and this is the number that will get the work started and completed. Captain Medeiros, did you want to add anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to add Alderman Jettie's point. We have started it, the project. What's left, we have spent a little over $400,000 so far on the windows, the design, and the studies to get this project going. So we do have over 2.3 million left. It's just, unfortunately, we are looking for those additional funds to catch us up to what our bid is at this point.
All set, Alderman Jettie?
Yeah, if I could follow up, please,
sure.
Mr. Chairman. So the you told us during the public hearing that that the price was locked in by this company, Turnstone, I think you said the name of the company was, but whatever it is, for how long is that locked in? I guess my question is, I heard the chairman say that he was anticipating that there would be a motion to suspend the rules to allow a second meeting so that this could be passed tomorrow night at tomorrow night's Board of Aldermen meeting. And I'm wondering, you know, why that would be necessary. I'm not saying it isn't. I just wondered, is it really necessary? The next meeting after that would be May 11th. Is the price not locked in beyond May 11th? Is it? Do you have to act before May 11th to get this price?
Alderman Jettie, the bids come in, and we did receive it at the beginning of February, and most of the bids are usually good for 180 days. We are coming up on that mark. Even though we have been working with Turnstone and getting a contract to us, we wanted to make sure we could go forward and have that funding before we can accept that contract. We are coming up on that 180 days. We are trying to work with Turnstone to keep those figures the same while we provide that contract pushing forward. But we do not want to wait any longer to see where it might end up, especially with the rising costs of the mechanical, sheet metal, and whatnot.
Yeah, I can also say I was at the police commissioners meeting tonight. They approved this action, this amount, and We've already had the first reading of this. The one mentioned before was the elderly one, not this one. This is going to be come up tomorrow night, but it's already had its first reading and was referred to budget, which is tonight. And I'm going to give an oral review of the meeting from tonight at tomorrow night's meeting, so it can have final action by the Board of Aldermen. And Karen, who is the finance person for the police department, asked specifically if we can get this done, because also after it gets passed, hopefully by the Board of Aldermen tomorrow night, it has to go to Finance Committee for approval of the contract.
Okay, so if I could follow up. So I evidently I misunderstood. So this is in the normal course of things. It had the first reading. This is
right.
Tomorrow night will be its normal second reading.
Yes.
And there won't be any suspension of rules required.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing no one, will clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien votes yes. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Our resolution R21-128 will be on tomorrow night's Board of Aldermen meeting for its second reading and final passage. And also under suspension, there will be a communication from Police Commissioners meeting of this evening that recommends final passage.
Mr. Chairman, also before us this evening is R-21-131, authorizing the City of Nashua to enter into contracts with Nashua Community College, Riviera University, Town of Hudson, the Plus Company, and Sauhegan Valley Transportation Collaborative for transit services. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to recommend final passage by roll call.
Yes, the motion on the floor is R21-131. The motion is to recommend final passage. I believe that Camille Patterson is here to speak to this.
Yes, thank you for your time. These are the contracts, the revenue contracts that we do annually for the transit services that we provide within the city of Nashua to Riviera University and Nashua Community College and the Plus Company. And then we also provide service to the Sauhegan Valley Transportation Collaborative, which is the 6 communities in the greater Milford area, as well as the town of Hudson. These really haven't changed from what we've done in the past. It's the same base contract. The amounts have changed somewhat just to reflect the reduced ridership that we're seeing across the system.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Ms. Patterson? Seeing and hearing no one, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien votes yes. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, the motion carries, and R21-131 will be recommended to the full board for final passage. New business ordinances?
There are none.
We're not taking anything off the table. General discussion. Any generals in our midst? Anything anyone wants to bring up?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Alderman Jettie.
So we received a communication from Treasurer Fredette. I don't know if he's still with us. I was kind of anticipating that he would be making a presentation to give us this, the status of the bonds and where we stand in that regard. I don't know if he wanted to say anything or if he just wanted to just let us read his memo.
Treasurer Fredette and I had conversations earlier. He sent the memo, so it's anytime we're resolving bonds and things, he sends that so we can have a feel of what the current plan is. He is available if anybody has any specific questions. I don't believe he has a presentation. I think he sent out his information. Treasurer Fredette, did you want to add anything?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, the presentation would be the handout that everybody did get. I don't normally send this out for every bond resolution, but except twice a year, I try to update this for the board. I could review it if that's what people want. It sounds like Alderman Jetty would like that. So,
would you like him to go through it, Alderman Jetty?
Yes, I don't want to bore everyone else if they're not interested. But yeah, I think for my benefit and for the public's benefit, it would be good to hear Treasurer Fredette go through the presentation.
Okay, well, quickly I'll bring up a few points and then I can go over the two spreadsheets that are really the key to the whole thing. But as the letter stated, we had two bond sales, one in the fall of 2020 and a more current one in January. And as you can see, the one in the fall was the lowest rates I've ever seen in over 20 years. It was 1.63%. That was non-taxable bonds. And in January was basically the Performing Arts Center and the Hydro Dam. So they were both taxable at 1.86. Again, since then, the rates have slowly gone up a little. So I'm not sure we'll ever see that rate, that kind of low rate again. But anyways, it was very good news. The rest of the memo kind of just tries to explain as simply as I could, and I know it's sometimes not that simple, is page 1 and page 2. Page 1 shows a multi-year plan on what we would sell for general fund bonds. And general fund bonds are bonds that relate right to the tax rate. The local property tax pays for the bonded debt for general fund bonds. And as you can see, fiscal year 22, the top part of the spreadsheet is bonds that have already been approved by the board. And the bottom part of the spreadsheet is bonds that I anticipate to come in. And when you see fiscal year 25, 26, 27, it seems very light, but that's because I don't know exactly what's going to happen then, but I know there's going to be a lot more bonds than what's showing up here. So that is the plan that is used to produce the spreadsheet on page 2. And this shows, it has all the different columns on the top. Column B is important because that shows you what the bond payments would be today with all the bonds we have sold through January of 2021. This is the bond payments for general fund. And then column C just shows the increase and the decrease on column B. Column D is a target debt service, something I created years ago with discussions with the mayor. And this is given to our bond financial advisors in Boston when we work out our bond schedule. And then column E represents what the bond debt service is going to be each year after all these bonds on page 1 are sold. Of course, there's a lot of estimating going on here. As the rates, we estimate the rates at 3% and 4%. That's extremely high right now, and it probably will be high for a few years. Again, that just creates a buffer in the budget that we know that it's a conservative budget. It also projects, when we'll sell the bonds, and that sometimes can be delayed a little or brought in more closer to the fiscal year needs. So anyways, and the biggest bond that we're selling over the next few years is, of course, the new middle school bond. I have fiscal year 22 at 40 million. We could sell 30, we could sell 40. It really depends on the rates and exactly when we sell. So I really don't know exactly when that would happen, but sometime between maybe June and October of this year. So that's the biggest bond. The others are quite small compared to that, of course. But and what helps us again is the current bonds on the 2 high schools are basically being paid off in fiscal year start, a lot in 23, 24, 25, 26. So that helps with the new middle school bond. Also in the letter, I believe on the page 2 of the letter, because this question has come up before, so now I put more information in here for you. Is the city's limits on bonded debt is a little stringent compared to, a little stricter than the state laws. And the limits for the city side is 2% of assessed value and 6% for the school. And currently our limits are at 1.24 for the city and 1.36 for the school. So over the next few years, of course, the school is going to grow because we are going to be selling the middle school bond there. So, but we're well below the limits on both sides.
Which is probably why we have such a high bond rating.
Well, there's many reasons for that, but that's one of them, yes.
I was going to credit you, but
no,
it's
no. Anyways, well, that's just a brief overview. I'm not sure if I really covered everything you wanted, Alderman Jetty, but be glad to answer questions now or anytime that you have questions.
If I could follow up, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Treasurer Fredette, and I know you're always available to answer questions, and I appreciate you and CFO Griffin. I've always found you to be very forthright and in your answers. But I do have a question. I noticed that in the I don't know what page it is. It's entitled General Fund Debt Service Analysis. Under column E, the projected total general fund debt service budget currently looks to be around, a little over 16 million. And it kind of, it keeps climbing and kind of peaks in 26 and 27 at a little over 19 million. And then it starts going down again. Of course, that's anticipating, the going down part anticipates no new bonds, but I know you said that that it's a good thing we're paying off the current high school bonds. So if that's the case, why does it peak in 26 and 27? Why does it keep going up until then? Why isn't it going down if we're paying off the high school bonds?
Because we're selling in fiscal year 22, $40 million of middle school bonds, 28 million in 23, 25. It's the middle school that's causing that. That's a very lot. I mean, that project's 118 million. The two high schools back in 2000 was 143 million.
So the middle school project involves 3 schools, one of which is a complete new build.
Right. Yes, that's true. So that's the reason why it's going up those few years. I mean, honestly, I would have loved to sell the entire amount this year. At 1.63, you're never going to see that again. Never. I doubt it very much. But just couldn't do that. It would put a huge burden on the budget next year and the year after. So that's why we have to try to plan it out over a period of years. And of course, they don't spend all the money in one year either. It's a multi-year project. So we try to line that up too. So that's the reason why it goes up those years. Again, all these budgets are projected at 3 and 4%. Not very much will get that high over the next 4 years. I mean, I would say in the fall or the summer of this year, we'll probably be closer to a 2% rate. So anyways, not sure if I answered you, but that's the reason why that's happening.
All said, Alderman Jenny?
Yes, you did answer me, and
okay.
And so I also get from you that the projections in column E are the worst case sounds like what you anticipate the worst case can be. You expect it to probably be, because of the interest rates, it'll probably be less than that.
Yes. I learned a long time ago that I don't want to ever go over budget. I want to be under budget. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I do budget very conservatively. Some say too conservatively, but that's how I do it anyways.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Anyone else for general discussion?
I had something.
Alderwoman Lou?
Thank you. I thought the budget committee would be the appropriate place to just mention something that I've become concerned with is learning how a lot of our city departments are doing overtime funded by the CARES Act or other, other agency funds that come through. I'm wondering if we're looking at what that will do to our retirement figures as people begin retiring after COVID. So I know that there's a lot of call for, we're using lots of the departments to help with the COVID vaccination. And so certain departments are doing huge amounts of overtime. And will that figure into their retirement calculation, basically? That's a concern I have.
I could be wrong, but I don't think we have the people on the meeting this evening to answer those questions. Part of that would probably be by the finance people for the fire department, the police department. But I don't think there's anyone here that can answer that question with enough detail to discuss it this evening. Alderman Wilshire, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I would have to get more information either from Karen Smith or someone, John Griffin.
I do know that at tonight's police commissioners meeting that a lot of the overtime payments for the fire department and the police department for the federal vaccination sites have the money for the covering the overtime has arrived. So that's going through the system as we speak to cover those costs. Alderman O'Brien, did you have a question?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. With your indulgence, I will attempt a feigned attempt, but basically, everybody that is employed within the NHRS system basically puts in police officers basically put, I think, 12.3% of their pay in. Firefighters put 12.5% of their pay in weekly into it. That includes any type of overtime or like any enhancement to the regular hours of their particular shift. That's why I think the state reps that are on this board kind of giggle when people came up at the State House and said that they wanted to take some of the overtime out of the funding of the state retirement system. Well, if you took a guy day one on the police department working overtime, and after 20 years of funding into the retirement system, how much money? It would be thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. But in the wisdom of the wizards of the legislature, they took that away, to which caused maybe some of the unfunded liability that currently does exist. But basically, it's a law of percentages. You put in, and when you do retire, basically it goes by what your what your pay is at that particular time, and any type of benefits to close out your particular account, and that's basically it. There's no gifting, there's no anything. One only gets that what he or she is entitled to on the books. So it's basically compensation for the time owed. And that's basically it in a nutshell.
Okay. Alderman Lou, you're all set?
No, I just had just a follow up to that if I could. I'm not quite clear whether Alderman O'Brien is saying that it's a defined benefit that has been paid up by the retiring employee, because I don't believe that's the type of system that we have. However, my concern is that we have people in the employ of the city of Nashua that are working more overtime than we would ever be able to pay, pay a retirement based on that number of hours. I'm sorry, it's having a hard time articulating. If they're working, let's see, instead of 2,080 hours a year, they're working 4,000 this year.
Maybe Mr. Griffin can answer that.
Well,
yeah,
it'll be hard since I didn't finish the sentence. But why don't you try, Mr. Griffin?
Certainly. The NHRS, as Alderman O'Brien indicated, is the monies are generated through what's called pensionable wages. So to the extent an officer or a firefighter works in a grant, most of the grants cover not only the salary of the officer, overtime of the officer, but also a contribution towards pension. So in the instant case, if they're working on the grants that the Board of Aldermen have approved, accepted, and appropriated, that's going to cover their efforts, the time that they work. What you might be getting at is just circumstances where there's more overtime available, more funding available because of the pandemic that we're experiencing. So you might say, all things being equal, there might be a little bit more burden down the road, but there's so many things that go on in a city like ours, that overtime spikes with crime, overtime spikes with minimum manning, overtime spikes with other instances such as flooding or things of that nature. So I guess I wouldn't worry too much about it. The burden is probably going to be unidentifiable, but there's certainly, to the extent there's overtime that's called pensionable wages, there's a contribution made, and it counts towards the officer or the employee or the firefighter's pension should they retire literally in the next 3 years.
Thank you.
So
I'm all set.
Thank you.
All set?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Next item on anyone else for general discussion? Next item is public comment. Is there any member from the public that wishes to be heard on items associated with budget?
Lori Ortolano.
Yes.
41 Berkeley Street. A couple of items here. What's the time for your non-public? I just want to make certain I don't blow it.
3 minutes.
Okay. Hang on a second. Let me start my time clock. Okay, perfect. All right. A couple of things regarding the budget as you go into budget development. In the assessing department, they produce an exposure report, and I would like to have somebody explain to me how the exposure report fits into the budget at some point, and how you look at the years of return that you have to pay back on those, how it fits in. I'm also concerned when you do the assessing budget that you recognize that next year is an update year. And I think you could potentially have a lot more abatements than you had when KRT came through. And I expect that might be the case because I think you're going to have back-to-back years of significant increases. And that usually fires people up to come in and abate. it wouldn't be unexpected to see 500 or 600 abatements come in instead of the 385 that came in when KRT came through. Also, I wanted to speak a little bit about the IT department. I think we have some serious issues in our IT department, and our budget should be looked at very carefully. The termination of our IT supervisor or director is a big issue. And I know Alderman O'Brien spoke to the newspapers about this little issue we had with money being scooped out, but that calls to question some IT security issues. And I'm old and I'm not IT knowledgeable, but I can tell you, I would not have said what he said to the papers. This is an IT issue. We've had some serious IT issues going on with the assessing software. It's been a big problem in getting it running. We have IT issues going on with getting property sales searches up. We have IT issues going on with reporting and assessing. And I had my right to know court case just returned information after the city failed to comply with discovery. They pulled something out and decided to tell us 9 months into the process that the emails were corrupted on the city website and the backup was destroyed. Now that happened months ago and they never disclosed it to us, and we're going into court ex parte on that to address that issue. Also the legal department, I'm a big proponent of firing out Jesse Newman's position. That did not work out the way we had anticipated. And when you read the job description, the city never wrote it up to be anything cooperative at all. I expect a right to know attorney to be willing to work with the public, and that job description absolutely says he is not. He is there for the city only, and it's screw the public. And we just don't need that. I filed another lawsuit today with Attorney Gagliuso, who's representing me from Bernstein Share, on a right to know suit, and there are more that are going to come in. And that's as a result of this new right to know coordinator. So fire his buns out of there. We don't need this in our city budget.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard in public comment? Seeing and hearing no one. Remarks by Alderman? Anyone? Nope. All right. We do not need a non-public. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a motion to adjourn by roll call.
Okay, the motion is to adjourn by roll call. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien votes yes. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries, and we're adjourned at 8:27 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.